All right, so after week 6, there's a lot of players who did well and who did bad. And so there's a lot of opportunity for us fantasy folks.
For sure.
And so for this week, Daniel, who are some of your buy low candidates?
All right, first buy low I got is Cooper Kupp. I want to say all the Rams offensive players, receiver-wise, have not been highlighted this season. There haven't been
their offense hasn't been firing.
Yeah, that. It's definitely not the season 2 years ago where Rams 30 points every game.
But even Kupp played well last year too.
Yeah. But I feel like Kupp has been very undervalued right now. I mean, yes, he has been performing kind of on the low. But yeah, that just poses a very good buy low opportunity for him. He is a great receiver. He is easily a receiver 2 caliber receiver who just has had a string of bad games.
Got it. So listeners, so that's just so the listeners are clear. You're saying he can't end up as a receiver 2.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
He is a receiver 2, in my opinion, who just has not had
receiver 2 numbers.
Receiver 2 numbers. Yes. I think it's also kind of matchup based. They're kind of Rams have had a tough string of games for the receivers. So
okay,
I feel like that's why it's a really great time to buy low for those owners who are maybe on the low part of the rankings. They need to start trading.
Yeah. Or maybe they're running back heavy and they need receivers.
Yeah, something like that. So Cooper Kupp.
All right, who's your next one?
Another buy low, and he's not doing bad per se, but it's Jonathan Taylor. The reason why I say he's buy low is because he probably, out of all the running backs out there, might have the most potential. Great O-line. No one to take his carries at all from him. But he's just not hitting those numbers that people are expecting.
I completely agree.
It's kind of weird because you expect him to do more, but he's just not doing it. But I feel like as the season goes on, there will be more opportunities for Jonathan Taylor. And as a rookie, they're gonna grow him into a better back.
Yeah. So
now is the time to get him mid-season. Get him. I mean, you might have to pay a little bit more than a normal buy low.
He's a high end buy low.
Yeah, he's a high end buy low, but it's definitely worth the rest of the season outlook.
Yeah.
He will take your team to the playoffs.
Yeah. I do want to say I think a part of the reason is because most of the games they're either trying to come back or they're already up a lot. So they don't really need Jonathan Taylor. At least that's what it seems like to me. But you're right. I mean, even when last year or even when the Colts are successful, it was usually with Marlon Mack.
Yeah, Mack was a killer.
Yeah, and so Jonathan Taylor is the guy, and let's be honest, he could end up being RB1. So some sell highs. For me, honestly, it's after watching this past game, I think it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We mentioned in our previous video, he could still end up being a RB2.
Yeah, RB2.
Bottom tier RB2, but after this week's game, I think you can get some quality value, especially seeing how well he did.
Definitely.
Especially if there's some, I don't want to say thirsty, but people who are desperate. They need players now to keep afloat. I think you can get a good value out of him there.
Yeah, I want to say too is that with Bell coming, people still don't know what's going to happen, and with Clyde giving that kind of performance, rushed over 100 yards, it just goes to show he's still a great running back. So people will see that.
I will say amongst the sell highs, buy lows we're choosing, I do feel like this is the most riskiest.
It is.
Because he's still a really good player.
Yeah.
And we don't...
I mean, that's why you're trying to sell high.
Exactly. But we also don't know anything about Le'Veon.
That is true.
So if Le'Veon, because we're all saying this in hype of how Le'Veon used to play. So...
Yeah, and I mean, also when we say sell high, it's not to say he's the best, because Clyde has not been the best running back out there. But it's just you probably could get your most value at this point, because after this point, it might drop.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. The next sell high candidate for us is, and this is also could be controversial, but it's AJ Brown. He's been killing it the last 2-3 weeks. He seems to be the end zone target favorite for Tannehill at the end.
3 touchdowns in 2 games.
Yeah, but I mean, granted, I will say I don't expect the Titans to keep being in these shootouts because Tannehill has been going insane.
Yeah.
So that's a big benefit to AJ Brown. AJ Brown's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that system isn't meant to, throw the ball that often. And so I think you can get, I mean, right now he's playing like receiver 1, receiver 2.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I definitely feel like you could get, another receiver 2.
Yeah, you could probably get at least more depth, like
maybe you could get a Keenan
back,
Allen.
or you could trade a, I feel like you could trade AJ Brown for a decent running back.
Yeah.
Like I could see AJ Brown
For Jonathan Taylor?
I could see maybe someone trying to do that.
Yeah.
But I was thinking like maybe for like a Gurley.
Okay.
Like I feel like that's a pretty solid trade.
Yeah. So
even for like a Mixon, a Sanders.
Yeah.
If you need a running back and you're good on receivers, yeah.
Yeah. So
definitely look you should.
So I mean, sorry Titans fans, but I think AJ Brown's a sell high candidate.